Talk about a couple things J.D. Vance has said over the past couple days. I'm going to move out of the way so you can pause and read this direct quote. You are welcome for not having to see his face. I also want to talk about this exchange from, I guess, Twitter, where he's basically insulting this professor's intelligence because the professor has referenced this passage in John where he says, "No greater love has a man for his friends than he lays down his life for them." Vance says that it's this very old Christian idea that you should have this hierarchy of who you love the most, that you should care first about your family, and then your neighbor, and then your community, and then your fellow citizens, and notably that's where he stops. And then he goes out to push this whole America First crap. Just in case you're wondering, let me tell you, as someone who has the degrees, who studied Bible in undergrad, who has a Master of Divinity, spent 90 hours studying history and the text itself and all the interpretations thereof, he's full of crap. There is no what we would call a minority reading of the text that would allow you to come to that conclusion that would directly contradict what Jesus and what Paul said. I'll be the first to admit there are many different ways you can interpret things in the Bible, but interpreting things in the way that J.D. Vance is doing so, that's not a valid interpretation. He's just making crap up to fit his racist agenda. It reminds me of when the Southern Baptists split off from the American Baptists because they just wanted to continue enslaving people. There's no possible reading of the text where you can get to this selfish idea that J.D. Vance is espousing. And in fact, Jesus says that he has come to break apart families. And he certainly had no loyalty to any citizenship whatsoever. He lived in occupied territory his entire life. And before anybody says it, I know there are going to be people out there who say, well, the church has never really practiced this ideal of radical self-love. I agree with you. For the most part, once power has come into the game, most people have gone for power, and that's why there have been dozens, hundreds of reform movements over the history of the church. From the Desert Fathers, nearly every monastic order that has been created, the Reformation, all of those have been reform movements to attempt to bring the church back towards something that some people felt was more like that ideal. Evangelicalism and right-wing Catholicism, which Vance is a part of, have decided to align themselves with power. And they have gone so far in this respect that they are preaching against empathy, that they are preaching against love for your neighbor. That is no longer Christianity. While it may be aligned with the institutions that had their roots there, it is so far from the source that they have completely lost the plot.